What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat basketball channel. My name is Amir, and I am joined today by my cousin Darian. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Excited to be back. Talk some Heat, talk some NBA. Damian Lillard, looking forward to it.
I know it's been a while. I know we talked a month ago. I had you on the channel, and I know we didn't talk about Damian Lillard on that episode. So I guess this is our first time actually talking about the Damian Lillard saga, which abruptly ended yesterday, which was a pretty shitty day for us Heat fans. Pretty catastrophic, in my opinion. But yeah, so I just kind of want to unpack what happened yesterday, get your opinion on the whole Damian Lillard trade saga. So overall, just how shocked were you when the Bucks came in? I wasn't like entirely shocked. Like I knew it was possible that other teams could come in. Obviously, the Raptors, the Bulls were supposedly interested over the last few days. And I know there's always a possibility of a contender coming in, which has happened before in the past when superstars have demanded trades. So I thought Sixers possibly, right? Because Harden's out the door. The Celtics and Jason Tatum, were reportedly recruiting Dame. He shut that down. And possibly the Bucks. But I still didn't think it was likely. And this was a complete shock. So like how shocked were you when you got that news that he got traded to the Bucks?
Very shocked. Very shocked. I didn't see it coming. I thought it was fake. When someone sent it to me, I legitimately thought it was one of those Woj parody accounts. But then I saw it was real and I was like, oh my God. Miami really kind of fumbled on this one, but then we'll get into it. It seems like they just didn't want to give you guys Dame. It seemed like they didn't like any offer that you guys gave them because it didn't involve either Bam or Jimmy Butler, and you knew that was never going to happen. So it seemed like they kind of tried to spite Miami. As far as their return, it's great they got Ayton. I'm actually very high on Ayton. I think he's now going to get a chance to really blossom, even though I think the Blazers will be the worst team in the West this year, just because the West is back to being really good. 1 through 15, it's very strong relative to, NBA history. But someone's got to be last, and I think that'll be Portland. They got a couple of picks and pick swaps that'll maybe be great for them down the line. But I was really shocked. I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks, wow. And for Jrue, they had to give something up. Jrue Holiday's been absolutely amazing for them. Won a championship his first year with the team. But wow, Damian Lillard is now a second option for the first time since he played with LaMarcus Aldridge early in his career. With Giannis, got to be championship or bust now for them. And Miami, you just got to think it's like, I don't know. You can give your take on it about how much blame you have towards Pat Riley and them for not getting it done or whatever. But it seems like a really big missed opportunity for the Heat because I think Dame would have been that piece that really makes you a true championship contender. I always thought you guys were great, but I never was sold on you guys winning the championship because I still think there's a level you have to get at to win the championship from just getting there. I really think that getting over the hump is a big thing. And Damian Lillard, I think, would have been that guy that helps you do that because it just gives Jimmy Butler another guy that can score, a star that can score, that can help him close.
Yep.
But now it's the same Miami Heat team for the most part without Gabe Vincent. And you're getting Tyler Hero back. Lost one other player, right? Who am I forgetting you lost?
Max
Strus, yeah. So, I mean, what were your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts as a Heat fan.
I mean, at first I was like, Pat fucking Riley, who's the godfather, who I obviously respect and love. I thought like, how did he fumble this? Like, how did he, like Andy Ellsberg, who's like one of the best when it comes to cap, like dealing with the cap and like the fit and getting like 5-team trades. Like, I thought we have like one of the best front offices, ownership groups, coaches, all that. Like, how the hell did we mess this up? That's like my first thought. And the truth will tell. Like, obviously we don't know. There's so many like false reports that come out, and not many credible resources or sources out there that are telling the truth, but we don't know the full story. So like at first, like I thought it was like Miami fucked this up. Like, what did we do wrong? Like, did we have that arrogance where we like honestly thought that we could lowball Cronin like that badly and still get a deal just because we're the only team that he wants to go to, and theoretically we're the only team that put in an offer. So I understood the whole like offseason according to the reports that have come out, which a lot seem like bullshit now, because reports have said that we've literally not talked since July. We had a couple conversations, and you brought up, which another article came out saying that Portland wanted Jimmy and Bam included. So that's a non-starter. Like we started off completely on the wrong foot, right? Like off the wrong foot at the beginning. And so I thought we fumbled it at first. I know you mentioned that on Twitter and I like commented on that. Eventually when I understood that, hey, Aaron Goodwin came out and said, hey, the Heat did everything they could, right? Like to make this happen. Like it's now been reported by Shams that the Heat had a better offer technically than the Trailblazers or the Bucks have offered. We have to wait and see what Jrue Holiday gets traded for. We'll talk about that later. But ultimately, it seems like the Heat were willing to offer more than what was initially reported was just Hero and a couple picks, right? That's like what was initially what was thought to be included. And so I think it's just Joe Cronin out of spite didn't want to fulfill Dame's wish. He didn't completely screw Dame over. Luckily for Dame, he obviously traded him to a contender. He put him in a wonderful situation. I think they should be the favorite to win it all, potentially based on if they can develop that chemistry and there's no injuries. I think they should be a favorite on paper. I mean, I think that's a beautiful pairing right there. Like literally, Giannis and Dame have never had a better teammate, and they're such a good duo. So I know you're losing defense with Jrue Holiday, but like I think they'll still be fine. But yeah, I think it's just Cronin out of spite. Just for some reason was backed into a corner when Dame and Goodwin pressured them to only trade them to the Miami Heat. And I think he just from the beginning said, I don't want to do that. Well, we'll do what's best for the franchise. I don't think he did that technically. Because I think they could have got a better deal. Like, what do you think? Do you think the Heat's potential offer would be better than anything they can get? Like, like what's your sense? Do you think it is something that was out of spite? Like Cronin's like, I don't want to fulfill Dame's wish. I don't want to screw him over entirely and trade him to a Toronto, which in theory would have been a better scenario. That would have been a better pill to swallow, I think, as a Heat fan, because now one of our rivals and the best team in the East during the regular season for the past 3 or 4 years just got better theoretically. So like if you went to Toronto, like great, they're like a 3 seed, like a 4 seed,
If
right? Like
that.
that's fine. If that, but and then Dame would be pissed hypothetically because he's not going to a contender and he wanted to go to a contender. So I think he saw that, hey, I'm fulfilling not the wish of wanting to go to Miami only, but I'm at least putting Dame on a contender. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I think it's just a combination of Miami could have been more aggressive, but there's also nothing you can do when they're not willing to negotiate and talk to you, and they're being spiteful. So I think it's a lot of Joe Cronin versus Pat Riley fumbling this scenario.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that. Um, it just really depends what the picks were, right? Because I mean, Tyler Hero is a good young player, but they have Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simon, so they probably didn't want another backcourt guy that was going to shoot a lot and just you want to give him his touches and let him get his shots to develop. Ayton is a center they can really develop, so I think they like that better. I don't know about what the picks were. That's obviously a major factor.
Yeah, so well, they were going to get Ayton anyway. Like there was negotiation. I guess Miami called the Suns and they were interested in possibly acquiring Caleb Martin from the Heat along with Nurk to facilitate Ayton. So they would have got Ayton anyway. Um, the picks, the Heat had 2 first round picks outright. They could have unlocked a third from the Thunder, which I don't know if they needed to do, but they could have done that because obviously they didn't want Tyler Hero because of the backcourt, which is funny. They still traded for Jrue Holiday, but I know they're gonna like now have to go through another trade to see what they can get. But that's another question too. Who's more valuable right now?
They
It could
must
be a
think they can
wash.
get something. They must think they can get something really good for Jrue Holiday. I think.
Right. We could talk about that. But either way, the Heat had 2 first round picks. In theory, the third pick could be from OKC, or more likely, which obviously reported was that the Jazz, the Nets, the Spurs, other teams were interested in acquiring Hero for a pick. So that would have been 3 picks right there. So the Heat would have lost Hero, but that would have been 3 picks and a player if it was the Jazz. They were possibly going to give like a THT or someone, a younger asset, rotational player for Tyler Hero. So that would have been 3 picks there. let's say if they did it to the Jazz, THT, then you also get Lowry for the filler, the 30 million expiring contract, which is a good deal for a team that's rebuilding, and also in theory could have been a good player for mentorship for Scoot. So it would have been Kyle Lowry, and then a Duncan Robinson, because if you don't have Tyler included, you need Duncan's 18 million um, to fill the salary, and then one of the young players like a Jovic or a Hawkes. That was like what, okay, you don't like Tyler and 2 picks and Lowry, then okay, fine. Like, how about this? Like 3 picks. So the question is, and let's talk about this now. The question is, what could we have got? What do you think Portland will get from Jrue? Like, it's all depending on how desperate a contender will be, but will they be able to get 3 picks, Lowry, Duncan? I think Jovic obviously evidently would make the most sense. He's a 6'11", 20-year-old big who could spread the floor. He can play make a little bit. He could dribble. He would be a good fit next to DeAndre Ayton, essentially, if you knew Ayton was also always going to be a part of that process. So for me, it's like, what are they going to get for Jrue so we can compare the 2 packages? But like, that sounds like a good package right there, right? 3 picks and all that stuff. Like,
How many more years does Duncan Robinson have on his contract?
I believe 2. It could be 3 maximum.
Okay, so I don't know if people want Duncan Robinson's contract.
Yeah, it's 2 years. But we could have added Caleb Martin instead, or like we could have figured out. There's other pieces. We could have made the salaries work. But ultimately, they would have got 3 picks, and Jovic would be the player essentially. So, what do you think they can get to match that? So Portland got 1 pick from the Bucks and Jrue. That's it. Like the Suns, they got Ayton and whoever the hell that I don't even know that guy's name. I don't want to try. But is Jrue Holiday worth 2 first-round picks and a promising young player like Jovic? Like, what do you think his market value is?
I think that's about right. I think that's about right. I think a team that's contending will offer that. Like, I think if the Clippers were to give up 2 first round picks and then like one of their young players like Kobe Brown or maybe even Brandon Boston, who I would really not want to give up, but to get Jrue Holiday, I would honestly consider that if I was Portland. 2 first round picks and a young player in Brandon Boston that you can develop
Who the
with your
hell is
young
Brandon
core.
Boston?
You don't know him?
No, I don't know Scrubs. What is he? Is
Yeah,
he a
he's not a
Clipper?
scrub. He went to Sierra Canyon. He was I want to say the 15th pick in the draft in 2021. He can score. He had a game against the Celtics. He had like 26 points. We beat them last in 2022. And he's a promising player, like 6'6". Looks to score, got good long arms in the passing lanes, but he just doesn't get much time because the Clippers are so deep and have so many players ahead of him in the rotation. But I think Portland would definitely inquire about those kind of things. It really comes down to, when it comes to picks, what year they are and who you're trading them with, because you got to kind of like, let's say you're trading for the Heat's 2028 first round pick. Well, then you got to think, where do I think the Miami Heat are going to be at that point in 2028? How high is that pick going to be? Because
Where do you think they will be? I know the answer. You know the answer to that question. Come on.
what?
They're going to be
They're going to be
mediocre.
good.
Jimmy's going to be gone. Jimmy's going
Right.
to be
You're not going to be that good, you're thinking. But the Heat, I feel like they don't rebuild and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're always decent. You know, in the Pat Riley, you guys are always decent. So, like, I don't know if you're going to be in the gutter,
never.
but, you know, maybe around, it could be a lottery pick. It could be around 15, 16 in a couple of years. Bam should still be around, right? Unless you go full rebuild mode.
He'll be around. He would be like 30-ish, 31 by then. But Jimmy, assuming Jimmy would be long gone at that point, and then Jrue Holiday, if we were to acquire him for like 2 picks, I think that's fair. I mean, he would be gone, I would assume. At that point, he'd be 37. I mean, he said he was gonna retire after this contract in 2 years, essentially, that he wasn't going to re-up with he wanted to stay with the Bucks, and that he was going to retire in 2 seasons. So I don't know. I think that's fair to think about that. So 2 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday, and like a one young player, maybe, right? Maybe 2 pieces max. Because like, obviously, reports came out that a lot of teams are obviously interested. The Heat are one. I thought that would be kind of funny if we ended up getting him. I would be happy with that. Like
It'd be
honestly,
amazing.
I'd be pumped. Honestly, because even though he is like the same age as Damian Lillard, he's not that offensive threat. He is a way better defender, and we'll talk about your team too and that fit. But could you imagine him, Jimmy, and Bam on the
It'd
floor
be
together?
awesome. Yeah, it'd be
Like
awesome.
the Heat are always known for their defense. They're a top 10 defense. Like that would put them, I think, as like a top 5 defense. And I know the Heat lacked scoring, um, especially in the half court. And Damian Lillard, again, to your point, was like the perfect puzzle piece, like the perfect fit between Jimmy and Bam, because both of those folks are um, unselfish to a certain degree, right? And not like natural scorers. Even though Jimmy becomes one somehow in the playoffs, Jimmy can start hitting threes efficiently for some reason, and everything just gets better in the playoffs. So he was the perfect fit. But I would take that as a consolation prize because still having a point guard, which we haven't had in so long in this system, that could score 18 to 19 points per game to take that pressure off. Like a Gabe Vincent, who I will miss, was a freaking role player and a general scrub in all comparison to all of our star players. Like, no offense, I love Gabe, but he was a role player who would get you 4 points one game and 20 the next. Like, he was inconsistent for a reason. Like, having a consistent former all star, two-way all NBA or all defensive type of player, I think would be huge consolation prize. And I would be okay with that, even though he's not the offensive piece that we necessarily need. But I don't think it's likely. Like, I don't like Chris Haynes said, I'm looking at a tweet. He said the Heat say they never had a legitimate opportunity to negotiate with the Blazers throughout the process. They felt Portland allowed emotions to get in the way of business. That's what Lillard's camp believed. Why the hell would Joe Cronin now negotiate with the Heat after they wouldn't talk to them about Dame? I know there's a difference where because Dame was their franchise player and all that crap. But like, would they be catty and petty where they wouldn't even like negotiate with the Heat for him? Like, and if so, would they ask for more? Like, I could imagine them saying, "Okay, yeah, Pat, let's talk," but like, we want 4 first round picks for Jrue. Like, we want something even more insane, which would be comical. So, I don't even know if we have an opportunity. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that Cronin's that petty that like we wouldn't even have a shot?
He might be. He might be. I don't know if you'll see anything that will entice him at this point. And as I said, I don't think they want Hero. I think Jovic would be somebody that if I'm the Blazers, I would like to inquire about. How willing you guys would be to trade him for Jrue Holiday, I don't know. What do you think?
I wouldn't honestly. I'd rather
Okay.
I rather trade you. I mean, for Dame, yes. Like Dame is like a superstar. He's a
Right.
top 3 point guard. He's top 75. He's top 15 in the league now. You know,
Okay.
Drew Holiday's top 30, right? Top
Right.
40, whatever the hell he is. So I'd rather trade Hawkes. I would do 2 first round picks, Hawkes and Lowry, like to make the salary
I mean,
work.
that's not that bad. I wouldn't think that's that bad. I would
You
just
have to throw in another piece because he makes 37 and Lowry's at 29. So it would have to be
Drew
like
makes 37.
36, 37, something like that.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's what he deserves, I guess, in today's market. But that's still
Yeah,
more than I thought he got because a
he has
lot
a
of
player
defensive
option.
guys don't get as much as I would think.
Yeah. But he's a good two-way player, man.
He's
Like
awesome. I love
I mean,
Drew.
he averaged 19. That's like his career highs, but he's not like obviously offensive oriented, but he's capable. He's a good player. He does not show up as much in the playoffs recently in the last 3 or 4 years. I guess that's been an issue. Like his efficiency's gone down.
Yeah. He
But
takes some tough shots, but he makes
definitely
up for it on the other end.
100%. Not against Jimmy Butler last year. If we all remember
Right. Right. He
that
got
game
torched.
3, we're down 10 at home, and Jimmy's talking shit to him, and then ends up going from 40 points with like 5 minutes to go to 56, um, which was incredible. He owned him. But again, we've always talked about this though. If you're a better offensive player, will beat the better defender 6 out of 10 times, right? He'll get the best of them eventually.
Right.
Even if you are the best defender, the better offensive player will figure out how to score if they're a superstar or all star for that matter. Um, but either way, I think 2 picks, just general market value, 2 first round picks, 2 players, right? I think to make the salary work, whether it's young, I think again, like it would have to be like a Hayward Highsmith or someone, like whoever makes a few million. I don't know. I don't think the Heat are going to give up Caleb Martin at this point. Even though he is on his last year of his deal. So like he's going to hopefully ball out. It's a prove it year for him. And we're not going to be able to retain him because we're not going to want to go over the second apron because we're going to have 3 max deals, right? With Bam, Jimmy, and then Tyler's max deals goes
Right.
into effect this year. He's going to be making 30 million.
Wow.
So I'm okay with that, but I wouldn't give Jovic. I don't think we're going to negotiate with them. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one option. There's 3 H's that have been linked to the Heat. Got Harden, Healed, and Holiday. So ideally, I would in the order I would go is obviously Holiday, and then obviously you would agree with me. You would agree with me for your team, I'm assuming too, if all 3 options are available because they might be. The H's might be, and obviously one's linked to you, but Holiday, Healed, Harden in that order. Would you agree? Because fuck Harden, and he's the worst. I would never want him on my team. And there was a report today that just came out 2 hours ago that said the Heat are not interested. Thank you, God. So, but your team is still linked to them. So, and
I
linked to
know.
all 3, I would assume, possibly, maybe not Healed.
We haven't been in the Healed running, but yeah, I mean, look, I would agree just because I don't like James Harden. I don't think he's the right fit for our team with Westbrook and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I think Jrue Holiday, though, offensively is kind of a weird fit too, having him and Westbrook on the same team with 2 better players than both of them. But as we've talked about, what you get with Jrue Holiday is you get a guy that's going to guard the best players on the other team. That's something we desperately lack. And oh man, I mean that's like a big 4, right? Westbrook, Holiday, Kawhi, and Paul.
Kind of. Wait, it's so sad that you said that though, because like, is Kawhi and Paul hurt so much that they can't guard the best guy now, or they're just like because they're all similar age,
Well,
kind of all like
because it's the
3
same as like with I don't know. Does Jimmy Butler guard the best guy every single night? Yeah,
playoffs,
but not the whole game.
not the
That's
whole.
the thing.
Yeah, we rotate. We're a good
That's
defensive
the
team.
thing, though. Like, but the guys like Andrew Wiggins, the guys like Aaron Gordon, they do guard the best player of the whole game. That's what they're there for. You know, with the Clippers, because most of the time in today's NBA, the guy that's going to guard your opposing team's best player on the point of attack is probably going to be like a wing guy. You know, they like putting on these longer wings
Totally.
defensively, even on a smaller guard in today's game in positionless basketball. It's not like back in the day where small forward matches up with small forward, point guard matches up with the
Especially
point guard.
our teams.
Right.
Especially our teams, right? Yeah, that's definitely like
So
our teams.
so right now, I've been talking about who's going to be that guy for the Clippers. Nicholas Batum wants to come off the bench. He's been that guy in previous years. When we started Marcus Morris last year, it was literally like he was guarding those guys, and that's why we're getting lit up. And you asked Paul
Over
George to do that.
Covington? Sorry to cut you off. Over Covington, huh? Wouldn't you have rather
Covington
had
Covington
Covington?
got over 23 coaches decision DNPs last season.
Like from a defensive perspective, like wouldn't you want him over Morris?
Of
Guard
course,
like
but that's a whole conversation for another day. That how badly we want Covington to play and he doesn't play.
yeah.
There's something behind the scenes there that happened and it's really annoying. But
Yep.
Jrue Holiday and Terrence Mann a lot of times will guard the best players on the other team, which is better than what we have. And I love Terrence. The thing is, Ty Lue does not play him enough. This way, we get someone that has that reputation. He's going to play. He would guard the best players on the other team. And man, imagine, okay, I don't want Jrue Holiday guarding me anymore. Let me get a switch. Oh, Paul George is guarding me now. Let me get another switch. Oh, now I got Kawhi. One more. Now I got Russ guarding me. I mean, the athleticism, the size, the strength we'd have with that lineup would be amazing. So that's what I'm thinking of is becoming a great defensive team by having Jrue Holiday and then Paul George and Kawhi around him and Westbrook. I think our defense would be awesome. But what do we give up? That remains to be seen. I would love to get him. I'm also fine if we just start the season as is, but I still think that we have a little bit of a hole in our roster, and that's not a guard spot. It's that it's the same hole that you guys have actually. That bigger forward position. We don't. I know you guys drafted Hawkes, but we really don't have many guys there. You last year didn't have anyone at that bigger forward spot. That's why Aaron Gordon abused you. We have Batum, Morris, and Covington. Covington doesn't play. Morris is old. I think he could come off the bench for a team. I really do. But
Yeah.
we already have Covington and Batum, so we don't need him off the bench for us. And then, as I said, Nico Batum is very good, but he's 30. He's going to be 35 in December. And we also got KJ Martin, who's listed at 6'6", so you wouldn't necessarily have him at the power forward. But in today's small ball NBA, he could be your second biggest guy out there. Who knows? So I think that's the flaw if there's any in the Clipper roster. I don't think Jrue Holiday's a necessity, but oh boy, it would help.
Yeah, and Drew's like kind of a combo guard, right? I don't. He kind of
Yeah,
played
he
the
is.
guard
He
role.
is. His shooting can be a little inconsistent, but I just saw today that he shot 45% on catch and shoot threes. So if he can adapt and just be willing to know that, look, I'm the fourth option in terms of ball in my hands on this team. I'm probably going to average 12 or 13 points a game, but I'm going to guard the best player every night, going to get some pick and roll looks, especially when Russ is out of the game. And that's what my role is going to be. His stats won't look good. He won't make an all-star team, but guarding the best player and contributing to potentially winning another ring and being back home, I hope that's what entices him. If he wants the ball in his hands, he wants to be one of the top 3 guys with the ball in his hands, then he shouldn't come to the Clippers.
Yeah, he's got to play next to Russ at the shooting guard position. Let Russ kind of play make and handle the ball. I mean, they could alternate a little bit here and there, but to your
Right.
point, he's the fourth person, like in terms
Right,
of ball.
he is, and Westbrook is not as good of a shooter as Holiday, so it would make more sense for Jrue to be spotting up anyway,
You
more
could
so than
stagger him
Russ.
too. You could stagger him
Yeah,
too.
you're gonna stagger him. You're gonna stagger him like Paul George and Kawhi get staggered. I would assume, and this is what people say when they talk about Harden coming. 2 of them are staggered at a time, and then we obviously close with them, start with them. But I think the Harden thing is just overkill because Harden's just been used to being the guy with the ball in his hands the most wherever he goes. Jrue Holiday still didn't have the ball in his hands the most, and I think Drew's just. Have you ever heard of people complaining about Jrue Holiday as like a teammate or a coaching staff? Harden, not saying he's a complete malcontent, but we know that there are some teams and players that have grown sick of him. Jrue Holiday is the guy that every single player on another team says, I hate playing against him. He's the most underrated player. He gets the cosign of all his peers, and I think that's why so many teams are inquiring about him because defense wins chips. Jrue Holiday's a champion for a reason.
Yeah, that'd be scary, honestly. If you had him, I don't know if that.
I think it'd be scary if you had him though, as well. Like if the Heat
I
get
think
Jrue
it's scarier
Holiday.
if we have him. I think he's a better fit for our team because you already
Yeah, it
have,
is. It
and you
is.
don't have like that Bam kind of piece because you have 2 players that are similar in Kawhi and PG in a sense. I mean, it's all small ball anyway, but you kind of have those 2 small forwards and a point guard slash kind of combo guard. Russ is kind of like a similar to Jrue Holiday. He's not like a true point guard, but I'd still rather have Russ as the point guard.
Mhm.
But it would be a huge, awesome fit. I mean, like again, that trio, those 3 right there, like defensively, would be just a nightmare. To your point,
Who
and
would
same with Miami Heat. Like same because Bam was going to switch and guard 1 through 5 also. So like,
yeah.
imagine him being on the Heat and like, okay, you're trying to hunt Tyler Hero, but like the Heat are really good at rotating, switch, playing zone. Like
Yeah.
you still like those 3 can cover all the ground for the white boys that might play, which is Kevin Love and Tyler Hero. Like having those 3, like that's like that shooting would be great too. Like because again, to your point, catch and shoot, he's 45%. Tyler Hero's like 42% catch and shoot. So they're both close to 40% 3-point shooters. Hero and Holiday, right? So Kevin Love would again be able to spread the floor. That would be huge. I think that'd be huge for both of our teams, honestly. But I don't know. Where do you think he'll end up going? Do you think he'll go to the Clippers, or do you think the Sixers have a shot?
See, the thing I'm scared about is if he goes to the Sixers, a 3-team deal involving Harden coming to the Clippers. I don't want that. I really don't want that. Like, I just don't want to root for this guy. You know that? Like, I don't want to root for him at all.
Same.
But well, it looks like you're not gonna, as you said. Miami's been very adamant that Harden doesn't fit their culture, and I think that's Pat Riley saying, "Fuck this guy. He doesn't have what it takes to be a champion in his eyes." I don't totally blame
His
him.
eyes, everybody's eyes. Are you kidding me? Unless you're
No, because there's still Clipper fans that want the guy.
there's delusional dumb fans everywhere. Are you kidding me? There's dumb Heat fans that are like, oh my god, how are we going to trade Jovic and Hawkes and all these picks for Damian Lillard? Like, okay, like for those Miami Heat fans in my comments that said that like trading 3 picks, Hero, both Jaquez and Jovic is too much, and Lowry. Like, okay, let's see what happens now with Hawkes and Jovic finally getting some real time in the NBA. Like, one is a rookie, right? So that's going to be hard, and it's in his own right. He's competing for the same. He's in the same spot as Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin, and kind of Josh Richardson, who now we picked up, is kind of also similar. Like that's
Oh,
shooting
you
guard.
guys got Josh Richardson back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not gonna be bad at all.
Well, it would have been amazing if we had Dame because he would have helped defensively. But now
Right.
we have no point guard. We have one starting point guard, or we have one designated point guard on our roster now because we
That's
lost.
Lowry, but Hero's gonna start, right? It'll be what?
Yeah,
As of now, the starting lineup is what? Hero, Martin, Butler, Love, and Bam.
No, projected hero at point guard, which like fuck. Even though it's like Jimmy and Bam could obviously facilitate, bring the ball up. Josh Richardson, Jimmy, Love, and Bam.
Okay.
But like Love is going to play like 5 minutes, and he's not going to play for the rest of the half. He'll come in like second half. Like he's going to play like 18
Yeah,
minutes a game.
you'll put Highsmith and Caleb Martin in there.
Caleb Martin will come off for Jimmy, and then we got Highsmith who'll come in for like again. It's going to be between Highsmith and then Hawkes and Jovic, kind of all fighting for that time
Right.
as the backup four behind Love, and then also the third string behind Jimmy, Caleb would be Yaquez, essentially, I would assume, right?
You have a
Because
backup big? It's not
yeah, we have
Zeller
two.
anymore, right?
No, thank God, no. We have Orlando Robinson from
Okay.
Fresno State, and then we also have Thomas Bryant, who we got, who I think could be
Oh,
decent.
okay. He can pick and pop. That's nice. Can't
Yeah,
really guard, but he can give some relief minutes for Bam.
yeah, and we got some size there, like him and Robinson. Or there's always going to be some rest if you want it, right? Fake injuries,
Right.
possibly, especially on this team. Maybe not so much in the front court, but it could be with Kevin Love getting some rest and he might
Right.
get hurt because he's older. That might be natural. Kyle Lowry obviously might be resting. So there are going to be opportunities for some of these guys, like again, the Yaquez, the Jaimez, or the Yaquez, the Jovic's to play. Because we are going to rest Kevin Love. Bam's going to need some rest. So Thomas Bryant will get some minutes. Like our team is not horrible, but it's just insanely disappointing that like another superstar requested the Miami Heat. This one specifically only said Miami, and we didn't get him. We missed out on KD, Mitchell, Gordon Hayward, like so many other players that I could think of, like from the past, like Bradley Beal. There's just so many players that have wanted to come to the Heat that we missed out on, and it's just been frustrating that we have to like run it back to a certain degree, a term that us Miami Heat fans hate because it's not exactly the same team because we lost a few players and added a few others. And we still have two roster spots. I don't know. There's slim pickings in free agency market right now, but do we bring in, dare I say, someone you're familiar with, like a John Wall, perhaps? If we don't have faith in Kyle Lowry, he's going to be age 37. He's,
Lowry was awesome in the playoffs though this season.
I mean, awesome as like a role player. Like he had like,
Well, that's what you're gonna get. If you John Wall is no better as he's a role player now.
yeah,
He's still fast, but he doesn't have. I mean, he's a worse version of his old self. That's what I can tell you.
that's
Still
fair.
can't shoot the ball.
He can shoot better than Russ, though, apparently. So
I
I've
didn't see
heard.
that. Russ shot 36% from three for us. I know that's probably not going to last, but
From
it
my friend
wasn't.
who's a Rockets fan who's dealt with both Wall and Russ, he said he thought Wall would be a better fit, like on a Miami, like when both were free agents, like last year.
I mean, maybe Russ is definitely a better player still, though. There's no doubt.
All right, last thoughts.
Mm.
Did the Heat f up Jimmy's championship window? I know Jimmy had roughly 1 to 3 seasons, let's say 2 more seasons this year, next year, to compete, and the team has become stale with our three, our big three, if you want to conclude, or if you want to include Tyler Hero in that. Do you think we ruined his championship window? Do you think it's over for the Heat? Like, you don't see them as competitors, you said this year, but like,
I
unless we
think,
get a Jrue Holiday or someone, like, do you think that window's over for him and for the Heat?
yeah, I mean, I think he needs. I don't know if Jimmy Butler can be the best scorer, clear cut on a championship team. I don't know if he's a good enough scorer. He may need a guy that's right around his level scoring the ball. Um, because I mean, you saw when they sat on his pump fakes, and he did get injured. I will say they sat on his pump fakes. He was not getting off like that anymore. And there's also games sometimes where you just be like, Jimmy needs to shoot more. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have a
All the time.
gunner's mentality, huh?
All the time.
Exactly, right? So that's why bringing in a Beal or a Dame would have been really nice because even if you brought in Beal or Dame, I think Jimmy Butler, especially Beal, I think Jimmy Butler is still the best player on the team, very clearly. So that's why I made sure I said best scorer clear cut on a championship team. I actually think Jimmy Butler could be the best player on a championship team these days. I really do. But I think he needs another scorer that can help him out a little bit. Can Tyler Hero ascend and become that guy? I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm not going to say the window's closed because until I see Jimmy really decline, who's to say that he won't be amazing in the 2024-25 season? You know, he still could be great. today's NBA with the modern surgery and stuff, guys' primes are lasting longer. Like Paul George is with all the injuries he's had. Imagine if he had all those injuries back in the 90s, he would be a shell of himself by now. But because of these surgeries and all that, he's still capable of going 24, 6, and 5 and dunking on dudes. So I don't think Jimmy Butler's window is closed. But I think with this team, you missed another opportunity. And I don't think the Heat are going to be back in the Eastern Conference Finals this year as of now. But you guys always tend to surprise me. So who knows?
I agree with you on that. I think we always improve on the margins somehow, which is just so effing annoying. Like, okay, can Bam and Hero make another developmental leap? Can Jimmy stay the same and healthy? I mean, it's all about health. It's all
Right.
about health. To your point, you brought up like Jimmy was more aggressive this playoffs, even after the injury. Like the year before, when we made it to the East Finals and lost in Game 7 to the Celtics, there's so many games where it's like, why? And he like regular season Jimmy, like you're facilitating, you're kind of playmaking. We need you to like create your own shot. Not many people can do this on the team. It's you and Hero basically, right? Like Bam
Yeah.
to a certain degree is developing that a little bit
Right.
more,
You
but he's
saw
never.
more with Bam. I mean, he averaged 20 in the he had basically 20 plus in every finals game. So I thought Bam actually did his part. I think Jimmy kind of in the finals, he didn't do his part scoring the ball.
He was gassed, dude. Like that ankle injury, you saw how bad he
Right.
twisted that on a he. You can tell when he's hurt in the past like 4 years on the Heat. Like if he's had like his knee kind of tendonitis kind of issues, you could see the lift on his jumper and then also the way he attacks the rim. Like because he still goes for dunks. He's not a high flyer, but like he likes to when he has a fast break and an
Right.
opportunity to dunk, he will do that. Like you would see him playing kind of below the rim, if you will, when he was hurt during the regular season or during the playoffs. But he wasn't getting that lift. He people said medical staff, I don't know what the hell they said. Like, if this was regular season, he would have been out for 4 to 6 weeks with like that was like a severe like ankle sprain. So like he had to shoulder the entire load to your point. Like he needs a scorer. Like so injuries played a factor. Um, who knows if he never got hurt and he was just he I guess like he was gassed obviously, but like he had to deal with the injury and we had no Tyler Hero. So who's to say we couldn't have competed, even though people are crazy thinking that like the Heat were better without Tyler Hero. I think that's nuts. Um, I think
You
we
don't think it helped at
definitely.
all?
What's that?
You don't think it helped at all in the rounds leading up to the finals? Because I think in the finals you did miss him, but in those other rounds, you think it ended up being better? You didn't have him?
It's so hard to say, man. He's like our
Yeah.
third best player. Like who the hell knows?
Yeah, it's
Honestly,
just there's two angles. There's one, your defense got better, and two, he's not taking shots away from other guys that ended up stepping up, and particularly Butler, who was you saw my ranking on Jimmy Butler in my top 10 players.
yeah,
Fourth, I got a lot of shit for that, but I really do think in the last 2 years, I mean, look what he's done in the playoffs. That's all I got to say.
right. Well, we need him. We definitely need him, man. But anyway, yeah, that was a rough day yesterday, but still Heat team to beat till I die. So it's been sad, but I'll have fun. I'm excited for the season. Hoping Jovic got that fun, great experience taking Serbia to the finals as a 20-year-old. He just graduated from high school, I think, because
Amazing.
he was playing in the pros, right? So he like actually missed some school. I don't think he's dumb. I think he's been a pro for quite some time in Europe. So I'm just hoping he can make that leap. Hoping Hawkes can fit within our system. Hoping Josh Richardson coming back to the Miami Heat can give us something defensively, and hopefully he can score a little bit here and there and make up for Max Strus. Scared that we don't have a starting point guard really, and we just have Kyle Lowry, but I'm optimistic. I think the Heat could be a top 4 ceiling. I think because who knows, the regular season doesn't mean anything to them honestly, but I think they could be a top 4 team, probably be within that 4 to 6 range.
I agree.
And
I tried to have them if I had to predict as well.
yeah, and so I don't know if they could do it. I agree with you. I think they can make the Eastern Conference Finals if everything goes right, potentially, unless again Jovic and Hawkes can make some leaps, and if Caleb Martin can continue to grow and ascend like he did in the playoffs, like we need to just work on those margins right there and have Highsmith contribute because we know where we're going to get from Jimmy, Bam, and Hero most likely. Yeah, I just think we're going to be a middle of a pack kind of team. I don't think we're going to be able to win a championship, but I could be wrong, right? Like I'm optimistic. Like anything's possible. Um, it's not a guarantee the Bucks are going to win with Dame. I mean, people were saying he's injury prone or becoming more injury prone. And like we already know that pretty much every championship for the last 20 years has been dependent on, certain things like luck and injuries in different rounds where teams have made it
Go
to the
past
final.
20 years.
More than
Since the
that.
beginning of time.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, there's always something, right? It doesn't matter if it's first round, second round, third round, finals. There's always a path that's unpredictable, and there's a lot of luck involved. So who knows if there's some bullshit injuries and we for some reason are finally healthy for 1 year, which never seems to happen with the Heat in the playoffs.
You're
Who
telling
knows?
me.
Maybe we can make it to the finals, right?
You have your two best. At least you have your two best players. You know what I'd give for that?
I know. Yeah. I can't complain. Wrong audience to complain to. But in the last 3 pro seasons, Jimmy Butler has missed like a game in like multiple series. It's like he only missed like 2 games last year, I think. But the year
Yeah,
before
but
that,
I thought it was only one game you missed last year, right?
I think 1 game after the Knicks, after he stepped on Josh
Oh,
Hart's foot.
okay.
But the year
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that, he missed like 2 to 3. He missed a game in the Boston series last year when we lost to them in 7. He missed one in the Atlanta series in the first round. That's where Oladipo came in and played and like won us the game.
Oh, wasn't that? Oh, yeah, you're right.
There's
He
been
did. He
he
did
missed
miss like 2 games in the playoffs in 2022. You're right.
it's not a big thing, but like there's like it
No, it
still
is.
ruins that kind of messes up momentum. He missed like 3 to 4 games. We had Lowry missing games, Hero with his groin injury 2 years ago. Last year he missed the whole playoffs. Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic in the finals. We like
Yeah.
made it in the bubble. Like we haven't had luck recently in Jimmy's build and Bam's build. There's always been something. But like I'm not complaining because it happens to everybody. Like Giannis got hurt twice in those 4
In
years
your
also.
series, yeah. And Randall was hurt in the series against you too?
He played the whole thing though. If
Yeah,
you're
I know, but he
what
wasn't
do you say?
100%.
What do you always say? You say if you're in, then you're in. If
You're right.
there's no
You're
excuse.
right. I say that. You're right that I say that. But that applies to Jimmy Butler as well.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like I know we've been screwed, but there's like others have been more screwed than us. Completely, right? I'm not like we're not the Warriors losing Clay and KD. Like
Right.
we're not the Cavs losing Kyrie and Love in the past, and we're not like the Spurs losing Kawhi and just like Chris
Yeah.
Paul with Harden on the Rock. There's so many injuries that like were worse. I think definitively
Yeah,
worse
I agree.
so, than what the Heat have dealt with. But because we all deal with it. But anyway, thanks for joining.
No,
It's nice
anytime.
having you on, man. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.